Hey guys, welcome back to Screen Orb. Today we'll talk about 10 of the grossest bars on Bar Rescue. Let's head into it. Number 10. Not cleared for takeoff. The Airliner, an old LA music venue, was the lucky winner for this episode, and it needed a major help. The interior and exterior were falling into disrepair, and oddly enough, the owner didn't seem to mind one bit. It's surprising that the owner would even agree on John coming in and working his magic, but at least it happened. It's still open to this day, so John must have sparked some passion into the owner after all.
It's a tad bit stronger. Now you're telling me exactly why you're missing out on $197,000 a year.
Number 9. Shamrocks and Shenanigans. Molly Malone's. Managing the bar was difficult for Bob Isaacson, and it wasn't as easy as Cheers made it seem, so he brought in his girlfriend to help him out. It seemed like an easy decision until their relationship became strained. On top of that, his staff didn't respect him, and conversations often turned into fights. The worst part? The bar was losing $6,000 per month in revenue, which is never a good sign. Basically, there was no leadership, the bar lacked any sort of identity, and jobs weren't taken seriously. John and his team seemed to help guide the team back to their main objective, and gave the bar a makeover and renamed it Waypoint Saloon.
Rain taking on so much of the management responsibilities puts a lot of strain.
Number 8. Too many managers, not enough man. Pro Sports Bar. In this episode, John realized that there was an abundance of managers on site, which wasn't needed. They all seemed to have their own agenda, but the one thing they saw eye to eye was giving the owner a hard time. It's not a good sign when the owner can successfully manage his own staff, and John saw that right away. From their attitude towards the recon to the constant arguing, it was a painful episode to watch. Since the show, the bar is now called BR Steak, and is still in business.
Oh my gosh, all of that alcohol?
Number 7. Owner on the Run. The original Hideout. Two brothers owned the original Hideout in Tucson, Arizona. Its main issue was that one of the brothers owed $300,000 in debt and couldn't seem to keep up. The overwhelming weight these two brothers had on their shoulders was huge, but it's what some business owners have to endure. The older brother, Raul, couldn't seem to shake off the stress and anxiety and literally ran away during filming. It was a sad scene, as these brothers were completely in over their heads. Number 6. So we meet again, Mr. Taffer. The story in this season 6 episode is that Taffer returns to visit the couple who got engaged at the end of an episode in 2013. With their first bar rescued and running successfully, they purchased a second. This time, Mark's fiance Ozzy is in charge of the new location. It's believable that the series would want to check in on their former characters, especially ones with a great story, but that's about all that's believable here. Mark is somehow never at Ozzy's bar to help her. What kind of fiance does that? And even though they've been taught the Taffer tricks of the trade, Ozzy's bar is somehow a dump. How could that be when the other bar is so popping? The bartenders all somehow look like aspiring actresses too, further making this episode just too much to believe, even knowing what we know about how an episode of Bar Rescue gets made. Number 5. The O-Face Bar. A restaurant is a great place for a first job, but when the managers and staff don't care, it can be horrible. This was the case at the O-Face Bar, as the staff got drunk, started fights with one another, and much worse. Once John put them to the test, the food wasn't edible, mixing glasses were broken, and a physical fight broke out. The worst part? These people were family. In the end, John decided to walk away for the first time in history and recommended counseling for everyone. 2 years later, the owner was arrested on suspicion of abuse, so it's pretty obvious why the O-Face Bar is permanently closed.
Bar isn't what's wrong, your character is what's wrong.
I've aired out my differences with all these people. I've talked, I've discussed.
Number 4. Breaking Brandon. In this season 7 episode, bar owner Brandon runs Linda Lou's Time for Two in Layton, Utah. His mom, who is chronically ill with multiple sclerosis, has poured all her money into the joint in an effort to support Brandon, who spends much of his time helping her and his dad. It's pretty hard to even get up in the mornings, Brandon said in an early episode confessional. Kiss like I don't want to. What's the most ethical way to proceed? Maybe not including a montage of mom struggling to walk. Maybe not including Brandon in the Taffer tearing the bar staff apart session. Maybe not naming the episode Breaking Brandon. Brandon ends up leaving the said session and locking himself up in the bathroom, where he proceeds to sob. I can't do this anymore, until production sends in his longtime friend and employee to calm him down. They let him go home for the day, and when he returns later, Taffer changes his tone towards the poor guy, but considering his breakdown is still included in the final cut, the episode ends up feeling ghoulishly exploitative.
Okay, so just give them the order.
I got 11 black lemonades all day.
The most orders we got in all week.
Number 3. All Blaze, No Glory. Jenny is on screen for about 2 minutes, helping Taffer spy on the failing bar. 7,000 people work at the Ford plant across the street, so the bar should be doing great business, especially during lunch breaks. But sloppy owner Don, who doesn't bother to learn his female employees' names, and instead calls them all Rachel, is holding the whole place back. Jenny and Taffer watch as he drinks too much, leaves all the responsibility to his niece and employee Ray, and gives away copious amounts of free alcohol, instead of using Jenny throughout the episode and encouraging her to serve serves some of her own advice to the staff. She mysteriously disappears after the first scene. Her face makes a return appearance 40 minutes later on the bottle of her alcohol that is not at all subtly placed within the shot. But overall, this product placement scheme is far from seamless, and the incredibly average story it's built into isn't enough to save the episode.
It's all wrong in color because the filth in the oil. All the filth. Look at the side.
It's disgusting.
Number 2. In Two Flew Over the Handlebars, two sisters run a bar together in small-town Connecticut. As the episode's title may lead you to believe, the bar is biker-themed. Stephanie and Betsy are trying their best to keep things running, but at least one of them has a pretty significant issue with alcohol, impairing their ability to run anything smoothly. Instead of leaning into sisterhood, the show outsources it. Taffer brings in a professional counselor to help the sisters mend the relationship. If any mending happens at all, it takes place largely off-screen. The episode leaves the audience with an unclear picture of the state of the relationship, and the renovated bar isn't much to talk about either. Taffer simply amps up their biker theme, sticking a giant motorcycle outside. Number 1. Struck Out at the Dugout. The bar owner in this episode, Ed, seems to go above and beyond to make the lives of all those around him miserable. Don't just take it from us. The entire Reddit community is fired up about Ed. As one user put it quite eloquently, the owner is a complete ignorant shithead and doesn't listen to John or his colleagues. The staff turns on him. Another chimed in that Ed easily was the biggest asshole that I've ever seen on the show, and there are other assholes as well, but he takes the cake. A few of these fans argue that Ed's absolute awfulness makes for an engaging watch, and it's true that it's sometimes hard to look away, but when an out-of-control owner's inability to be an adult is costing an establishment $40,000 each off-season, the reality is not entertaining. It's sad, even for reality TV. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.